So it appears that the full trade details are finally in, and you can see it right here. Andres Gimenez, along with Nick Sandlin, going over to the Toronto Blue Jays. The Guardians are going to receive Spencer Horwitz and Nick Mitchell in return. Strictly speaking on the return here, I'm a little bit disappointed. Yes, Spencer Horwitz, he's on the surface level a good hitter, but if you really look at it, he's a 27-year-old rookie. That's older than Juan Soto. I don't see a lot of improvement for him. I mean, he's been a career minor leaguer. He had a good rookie year. I'm not really too confident that he could even replicate that. If he does, that would be great, but my hopes aren't really up that high. Then you have Nick Mitchell. He is very young, only 20 years old. He was just drafted in 2024. I mean, he it's a shot in the dark. I really have no idea what this guy is going to bring to the table. While we're on the return, let's take a deeper dive looking into Spencer Horwitz. Yes, he could play second base, he could play first base, and he's a pretty decent hitter. He's not someone that's very exciting to me. I see that a lot of Blue Jays fans are sad to lose him, which is encouraging, but I don't really view him as this great prospect that we're getting. We're getting a fringe MLB guy who has potential to be a solid hitter. Maybe he could be our second baseman in the short term while Gimenez is gone. You have Juan Brito coming up from the minor leagues, who is also going to be, I assume, competing for that role. And then obviously Travis Bazzana, the number one pick in the draft. He's going to be here eventually. I don't know if it's going to be by the end of the year this year or early next year, but I do think that a lot of this trade has to do with Bazzana eventually being that everyday second baseman. But let's stick to Horwitz because, yeah, I mean, nothing really stands out that much with him. He has some power. He's been called a bit of a tweener defensively. There's really not a hot take to have here. He's just pretty average. The only thing I will say is that maybe he could become Max Muncy. Max Muncy really made his breakout at 27 years old. He was a defensive tweener, second baseman, first baseman, third baseman, left-handed hitter with some pop. I'm drawing some comparisons. I'm not saying that Spencer Horwitz is Max Muncy, but if you just strictly look at the numbers and intangibles there, you got something. Now let's talk what this means for the Guardians moving forward. Obviously, they're going to have a gap in second base. I talked about that a little bit before. Burrito, Horwitz, and then eventually Bazzana, I assume, are going to take that spot unless the Guardians go external and look for someone to bring in to play that position. I don't think that's going to happen. Gabriel Arias, I mean, I guess he could also fill that position. I don't really want to see that. And then Angel Martinez is another option, but they played him a lot in the outfield. Maybe he comes in, plays second base, but I really think that he's going to be more of a utility guy as his career moves forward. And then for Nick Sandlin, I mean, that's just a roster spot that's opening up. I was surprised that they didn't cut him when they traded Eli Morgan away. It's promising that they have an open roster spot. Nick Sandlin didn't make the postseason roster last year. He's really struggled after his injury. So, I mean, it sucks that he was so good in the first half and that now he is just basically a throw-in in a trade. But it just had to happen. I didn't see much to believe that he was going to turn it around, and I think that it's probably for the best that he is finding a new spot. Especially with how deep the Guardians bullpen is, I really just didn't see him manning down a position in that bullpen as we move forward. And Andres Gimenez, yes, he is definitely the best defensive second baseman in the league, but he was just not a good enough hitter to justify the contract that he had. If you're going to be paying someone, especially if the Guardians are going to be paying someone that amount of money, they're going to need a lot of production, and Andres Gimenez just wasn't giving you that. He's a very specialized player. He's really, really good at what he does, but he has gaps in his game, and especially with that contract going up to $23 million at the end, the Guardians really just can't afford to have that on the books. And they found a way to get out of that. They didn't get the best return for that, but I'm assuming that Andres Gimenez trade value wasn't that high. I'm trusting that the Guardians front office did their due diligence. They asked around, and this is probably the best offer that they got, which is a little depressing because Andres Gimenez being such a fan favorite, being someone that gives back so much to the community, you hate to see him go for such a little return. But when you really look at the big picture, this was something that the Guardians have to do if they want to get better. They want to free up more money. They're on a tight budget, unfortunately. As much as I would like the owner to spend more money, I see the front office knows that that's not going to happen. And they're freeing up more money here so that they can go out and get some better value contracts, maybe get a starting pitcher, maybe get an outfielder. I'd assume that this is just the beginning of trades that are going to be made. I see this roster as there's a lot of opportunity for moving. I think Josh Naylor is still going to be traded. I think they need to add a starting pitcher or two. And I think that this money that they freed up by giving away Andres Gimenez might be their avenue to go get a starting pitcher. And then also, I think they need to re-sign Steven Kwan. I think that that should be a top priority. He's a top player. He's proven it for a few years now. I think you got to just give him his money before he becomes disgruntled and wants to leave Cleveland. And I'm not just saying that because I am the number one Steven Kwan fan. He's really good. But all in all, Andres Gimenez will be missed. He was a very good locker room guy. He seemed to love playing for the Cleveland Guardians, and he really gave back to the community, which is something that I can really respect him for. I wish him all the best in Toronto. But really, it just didn't seem like he was going to figure it out at the plate. And with his contract going up, I think that the Guardians did a good job in freeing up some room to be flexible in the free agent market. While the return on investment for Andres Gimenez was not great, we didn't get a lot in return. I think this is mostly a money move, and we got to be realistic here. That's what they had to do to get better. And in an ideal world, yeah, you keep Andres Gimenez and spend more money, but that's just not the way it is in Cleveland. I don't have a clear way if I love or hate this trade, but I'm leaning towards liking this trade. It's bittersweet to see Gimenez go, but I do kind of see that it's for the best. And maybe Horwitz provides you some good at-bats while he's here as we're waiting for Travis Bazzana. Let me know what you guys think of this trade in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more Guardians news as it happens. I have a feeling this is just the beginning of a busy offseason for the Guardians, so buckle up, Guardians fans. I'll see you in the next one. Andres Gimenez just got traded to the Blue Jays. This is insane. I just got home from the gym. This is my raw first reaction. I honestly don't even know how to feel about this right now. I was really hoping that the Guardians could have got Ricky Tiedemann. Obviously, that was just insane. I don't know why I was thinking that. But also, Charles McAdoo would have been nice too. Just kind of a disappointing return. Just that's my final note.